Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here today. We gather under solemn circumstances, yet with a commitment to finding justice in the devastating epidemic of missing and murdered Indigenous women that has plagued our state. As a father of two daughters and a son, though, I cannot even begin to fathom what it's like to live in constant fear of their safety, or what it's like to be left wondering with no clear answers. With the Native Americans making up about 7% of our state's population, it's astounding that nearly half of the missing people cases in Montana are Native women. It's estimated in 2013 there were over 30 Native missing or murdered women in Montana. 30. Hannah Harris, Ashley Heavy Runner, Jermaine Charlo, Henny Scott. These are real lives and real people. And for every single person going missing or murdered, it has a ripple effect, impacting the lives of countless others. Mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and aunties and uncles, but more than that, indeed, entire communities. During this legislative session, we have a moral obligation as our state's leaders to look at both systemic and structural challenges, from lack of resources to legal and legislative change to domestic and violent abuse. And then we must act. We must act so that this epidemic is unheard of in our state and in our country's future. I certainly want to thank the advocates on this issue and the families of the victims for their courage in speaking out. Never doubt the power of your voices, which have not gone missing or left unheard. I also want to give my sincere thanks to the entire Indian caucus for their passion and for their diligence to put together meaningful legislation and to build a coalition to bring justice to and for Native women in Montana. With that, I'll turn it over to Representative Ray Peppers. Representative Peppers.
Thank you. This month of January, I carried a package of bills. House Bill 20 was missing children due to custodial interference that passed through the House, 100 to nothing. And today we presented House Bill 54, House Bill 21. House Bill 21 is Hannah's Act. It's to provide a missing person specialist to oversee the never-ending population of women, men, and children that go missing, in particular Native peoples. Right now, there are over 156 missing people in Montana. 64 of those are Native. And the people that testified in these hearings today are asking for justice. They are asking for answers, because more often than not, they are underestimated. Law enforcement does not take their losses seriously. Another missing woman, Indian woman, out drinking, out partying, they'll come home eventually. This is a stereotype that we have to get rid of. We have to understand every single one of these women are somebody's daughter, mother, sister, auntie, and a lot of times they are leaving behind children that the rest of us have to take care of. And in Indian communities, we all end up taking care of these children. And I'm asking that these bills be passed. Thank you.
past interim, I became the chairwoman of the State Tribal Relations Committee. And one of the study resolutions that we were assigned was looking at the issue of the murdered, missing Indigenous women. And as a result, through our deliberations, we came up with a package of bills that we believe would tighten up the holes, so to speak, in this system, so that we would be able to tighten this system up, so that we would have greater response time, that we would be able to have a person that is in the Justice Department that could particularly respond to these types of reports and to begin to be able to establish a database. I think the most important thing at the end of the day is that this is not a Republican issue, this is not a Democrat issue. This is a Montana issue. It's about Native women, because the Native women, children, and men, right now we are seeing an epidemic. And that the reasons that we have brought these bills forward through a bipartisan effort, I want to commend all of the committee members, the American Indian Caucus, the Department of Justice, the Governor's Office, all of the different partners, the community people, the tribal leaders that had come forth and testified, had shared their stories. Even today, it was difficult, but it gives my heart hope today that we can move forward, that we can bring justice, that we can be a voice to the women, the children, and the men, Native women, Montanans, so that public safety, the public safety of every citizen of Montana will be addressed through these bills. And I would urge the constituents that are across the state of Montana to take a look at this as not just another Indian problem, but this is a Montana problem. When we talk about public safety, it permeates every fabric of our life. We have people that are missing, we have people that have been murdered, we have people that have been trafficked. And I believe today is a day that we will mark in history, that we have come together as one people to address a problem that impacts all of us. So I would urge citizens of Montana to call your legislators, to call the different folks and say, these are bills that will ensure our safety. Thank you.
I stand today humbled and inspired. If you walk out in that hallway, you see folks that came from all across our state, from every corner, came to say that the devastating epidemic of missing and murdered Indigenous women could not be more urgent. Don't kid yourself. These are families. These are women. These are children. These are sisters, aunts, daughters. And I can only speak for our caucus. I'm humbled to stand up here as the minority leader representing the Democrats in the House, but I have a lot of faith in our body. But I can speak for our caucus and say that getting justice for these missing Montanans and their families is absolutely one of our top priorities. Democrats in the legislature are going to work nonstop, and as we've been saying all along, we're inviting anyone to the table to work with us, because this should be a bipartisan mission. There should be no politics involved here. These are Montana's issues. We need to do better, and we're inspired by folks standing up and demanding that of us. We got to get this across the finish line, and as a member of leadership of this body, I'm demanding that this gets done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Always.
Hello.
My name is Melinda Harris Limberhan, and I'm standing here speaking to you on behalf of my murdered daughter, Hannah Harris. Hannah Harris went missing in July 4th. That's when we found her body, but she really went missing on May 17th or 27th, I do believe. This is very hard for me. It's very emotional for me to keep repeating myself, telling my story over again. But I just want to say that not only am I here to speak about my murdered daughter, I'm also here to speak about all the missing and murdered that's happening here in the state of Montana. This is an epidemic, and I'm just a regular person. I ain't no higher, lower than anybody else. I do believe that I was put on this earth for this purpose. I really have a lot of mixed emotions. I had to lose my daughter in order to get here, for my voice to be heard. But now that I'm here, I'm standing here wanting justice, not just for my daughter, but for all the Native Americans in the state of Montana, whether they be on a reservation or off the reservation. We are all equal. We are all equal in God's eyes. Before I came over here, I went online and I wanted to see how many people were actually missing and murdered on our reservation. To this date, we have two actively missing to this date. We have one case that is active right now. We had 51 women that was missing or murdered on a reservation. And I'm not discriminating, because I think our men are just as important too. And with them, I had 23 men missing and murdered on a reservation. So altogether, that's like 51 people that are missing and murdered. And I'm sure that it's just not our tribe that have that many people gone. There's 6 other reservations on here in Montana. And I'm sure that their list is just as high as ours. But we're here to solve a problem. And with your guys' help, please call your representatives to get this bill passed. We need it for the safety of our younger generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.